What up, fam? Welcome back to another edition of Say That. It's the boy Holly Kali out here in Washington. Continuing that controversial show. That's what I think I'm gonna call it, controversial show from now on. A lot of opinions on it from right now. But everybody want to introduce themselves. We'll start with the special guest from Verbo Tempestas. How you say it? Tempestas?
Verbo Tempestas, yeah.
Tempestas?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
Latin for
Y'all
word
want to go
store.
ahead and
Yeah,
introduce?
sure. Yeah, I'm
Latin.
Rory Reddington from Verbo Tempestas. We do a live show 9 Eastern on 9 Eastern Tuesday and Friday on YouTube and Twitch. So come check us out.
And I'm Kaiser. I'm Rory's co-host, and yeah, we have fun. And by the way, Holly, I like how you call it controversial. We've just been saying shit show.
Yeah, that was actually one of my questions, and I'm gonna get into that. Well, since you guys right there, let me ask you, who came up with the name Shit Show, and what was the reasoning behind that?
Oh, well, it's just kind of one of those things where normally we have a lot more structured and formality and those type of things, and it kind of just went off the rails, and so it was just kind of a shit show.
Yeah, I agree with that. I ain't watched the whole thing, but yeah.
You should, man. It's hilarious.
Yeah, I was trying to, but I just never mind. Yeah, this unfuckwittable, aka Vic Damone on here. I don't got no show, but I'm just on here to be a part of it, and I guess state my opinion. Is that what you want to call it? Everybody has an opinion.
BC, can you hear me? BC. Okay. KN Nebjari.
Kyle Karabur Nebjari. I'm here to destroy.
That's good. Because I see people are in charge of, countries that Europeans relinquished.
All right, young.
Yeah. I can't hear you.
We get into all that. We get into all that. We ain't there just yet. Just yet.
No, we there.
I just thought.
Hold on. We still doing the introduction. Hold on. Let everybody introduce themselves.
I'm a hacktivist anyway. Hacktivist. I worked on a lot of different types of things, such as software. Worked in laboratories. Now I do. Still. I'm old enough to now, like I can say, I'll talk about it, but I do a lot of open source. Travel the planet, implementing open source technology, especially software and hardware, putting together communications, and a lot of the software used on your Android phones, or a lot of software used, period, PHP, when it comes to any type of software development as far as the open source community and underlying technology such as VoIP, any of that. Since the 90s, I'm that dude. Other things I want to talk about, but you'll get to know me as things move forward. But yeah, I kind of dabble in a lot of other things too. I'm multicultural, which means I come from a lot of different backgrounds. My parents, my father's side, is African and plus. My mother's side is African American, if I can use that term, because I don't want to use the term black, but yeah, that and plus. So because considering that, I'll just leave it at that, and you'll get to know me as things move forward.
All right. Young Fit.
That's for the Yankees.
Young Fit. I'm here just to give my insight on everything, and I heard the whole show. It was a great show. It was very, very interesting. I believe everybody got out of hand, but nobody got too ruthless. Like, I'm socking you out on spot. So that was kind of cool. But it was a good show. It was interesting. I liked it. So I definitely wanted to join in and, just get some opinions. I'm like the type of person I can hear things. I can say things and definitely I can participate, and I can understand both angles. You know, I'm not one of those people that get butthurt over certain things because truly, like, at the end of the day, it's like we all going in the dirt one day anyway, so let's get it.
And actually, before I start, I had a little issue with the recording. I had to switch devices. If Rory and Kaiser, if you guys don't mind introducing yourself one more time, I'm sorry about that. I didn't have it on recording.
Sure. Rory Reddington from Verbo Tempestas. Do twice a week show, Tuesdays and Fridays, 9 Eastern. Talk about all kinds of topics and interview and have conversations with some interesting people. So come check it out.
And I'm Kaiser. I'm Rory's co-host at Verbo Tempestas. And I'm here to have fun because this is going to be fun.
Now, what you say? Your name is Tori?
Rory?
Yeah.
Rory.
Yeah.
Rory.
Yeah.
Rory. I know you heard this before. You sound like Vlad TV.
Oh yeah, I've not heard that one. I've heard quite a few like, oh, you sound like this guy, but I have not heard that one.
You sound like Vlad from Vlad TV, straight up, man. You guys got the same voice.
I think I know that guy. I'm gonna have to look him up, but yeah.
Yeah, Vlad's pretty good. He does shows too.
All right, and Nebjari, can I get you to introduce yourself one more time, and then we'll start right into the questions after that.
Yeah, Kyle Nebjari. I'm considered I was called a hacktivist, and I stuck to that. Start with an H, a hacktivist, not an activist, but a hacktivist with an H.
Hacktivist. Nice.
I'll leave that like that. And of course, I love history. I traveled a little bit. I've worked for a lot of different types of companies of all sorts of calibers, and my specialty pretty much nowadays in the last 10 years has been technology and anything that has to do with technology, as far as anything from SATCOM, X satellite, VoIP, video and voice over internet protocol, implementing standards on that level, doing BTSs, you name it. When it comes to communication, infiltrating the communication, assimilating the information or aggregating data, that's me. And I'm kind of proud of that. But at the end of the day,
don't give him your phone number.
But what it means is I don't even need your voice pattern. I don't need anything to let me know where I can isolate anything.
Right.
Yeah, I'm the last guy you want to fuck with. But and I don't mean that. And I don't mean that to be a dick. And I don't mean to be a dick. But I'm saying is, by profession, and I'm retired now, so there's a lot of things I don't have to worry about or look at it in that sense. But well-traveled person, and I grew up a little bit different than most people I see now. As I gotten older, I grew up a little bit different than most people, and I don't mean that in the arrogant sense. I mean that in the sense of I see the difference now. So I have to watch the way I speak and the way I approach people. I'm good at switching up different things, such as my accent and my approach to conversations and things like that, depending on the people that I'm talking to. So me personally, though, I've accepted the term hacktivist.
Got you. Okay, so I'm gonna start with you, Nebjari. One of the questions that we didn't get off the table last time was identity. So I want to, or what do you identify as?
I'm multi. Like I was saying earlier, I guess you could use the term in English and Anglo, multicultural. But I personally identify with culturally how I grew up. I grew up part of my life in the United States with an African American mother and an African father, and they are from Jimma, Ethiopia, and Jimma is about 200 miles outside of outside of Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. So I grew up part of my life here. I grew up part of my life with my grandparents in the country, and I spent the rest of my life trying to learn as much as I could about the digital world and electronics. So I'm a country boy who knows how to milk a cow, literally, and I know how to catch a lion. I literally know how to catch a lion and a crocodile. to now, and swimming in creeks and having dirt bikes, to now being able to fly a drone directly into the White House, or if you want to know how to send what they call a bi-atmospheric plane into the stratosphere, I'm your man. So multidiscipline, I guess you could say in that sense, and been around, traveled a lot, and now I think I want to say I retired like at 40.
I'm just saying. So, I'm just asking right now. What do you identify as?
Again. My people are from Gemma. I guess you could say, what's the word you use? I guess you could say, as far as terms, is like I still identify as African American / Ethiopian, or it's Ethiopian / African American. As far as how I grew up.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know if you know what Gemma is. It's outside of Addis Ababa. Addis Ababa is the capital of Ethiopia. And so, and I grew up with multicultural people from Africa, including, the Igbo, especially my Igbo people from Nigeria, and things like that. But yeah. But I grew up with multicultural people around the planet, but especially Africa, Northeast Africa.
You're a Kata.
Kata? No, Kata means specifically that's like an African American that's like very, I guess the term you could use is a derogatory term used for like, I guess ignorance. I guess you could use like when a person is acting out of character, like all he does is you know what I'm saying, like as far as African American, it's the lowest term you could use for an African American as far as stereotype, like how white people is stereotype black cotton picker.
All right. Let's get around the table. Let's get around the board with it. Rory, what do you identify as?
I identify as an American first, European second. European heritage. Clean cut, simple. That's it.
Kaiser?
Yeah, I'm an American. European stock. That's it. Simple.
Unfuckwittable?
I'm a guy. So I'm going to stay there and say my piece with that. That's what I identify as.
Who is that?
I can't be labeled as a culture in that sense. So I'm going to take it back to my roots, and I'm going to stay there with it. Thank you.
Yeah, that was unfuckwittable. It's another person on the call, for those who don't know. Young Fit?
Yeah.
I identify as a spiritual being having an earthly experience.
Got you. All right, so...
Also, I'm black, nigga.
Say I'm black.
So, Kaiser, let me ask you, are all statistics real, and how do they matter?
Okay, well, that's simple. When the statistics come from a source like the Department of Justice or the FBI, undoubtedly they are real and not tampered with. They're important because it's for the same reason that humanity has survived as long as it has. It's pattern recognition. When you recognize a pattern, you can make decisions based around that statistical pattern, right? That's why they're important.
Well, our current president, Trump, doesn't believe the FBI statistics are correct. And I'm going to ride with Trump on that one.
He doesn't believe the FBI statistics, or where's that?
Hell no, he's been against the FBI since day one.
He's against specific things that the FBI does because there's specific individuals using that part of the deep state to keep him from, doing what he needs to do. But that doesn't mean that...
say they're not doing it to all of us?
Because you can go and you can cross-check that data. You can go and you can look at their sources of data.
You
can go back and you can cross-check that.
I don't understand using the FBI and things like that as a reference point to, like, especially, like, people like me who don't have an FBI. The FBI is specific. It's specifically for the United States, and it's specifically for white people.
It's not specifically for white people. That doesn't even make any sense.
It is specifically for white people. Like, no one. Who else uses an FBI? And then what would they use the FBI for? Like if I bring up the term COINTELPRO, the counterintelligence program that was used. Like, what are you talking about?
What do you mean? What am I talking about? That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Like the counterintelligence program.
Okay.
There's
I know what COINTELPRO is. Yeah. So.
Okay. Well, if you know what COINTELPRO is, then you know they don't represent me or anybody else on this line like that represents me. So it's like that's against me.
That's a moot point when we're talking about the statistical
data.
No,
it's not a moot point.
That's one point of reference.
No. My life matters to me. It may not matter to you.
Moderate this a little bit better, because whatever his name is talking out his ass.
It's a point of reference.
No,
like the other day when I brought up statistics, the FBI is one source. The FBI was one source that can be confirmed and can be. It's one point of reference, one point of statistical data. And then you take that and you look at other points of statistical data and you draw an inference from these multiple sources.
No, my point is, who is that important to? That's not important to somebody like me. The FBI is only important to people who respect the FBI like that in that sense. The FBI is the same people, so CIA and things like that. Those are branches of government that has nothing to do with the common man.
Just for general purposes, I respect the FBI and the CIA.
Yep. to an extent. To an extent.
I don't.
To an extent.
I don't.
Fucking you said on the last stream that you're in Arizona, and you grew up here in America and Ethiopia.
Proud of my life.
Why does their crime statistics not matter to you?
Because first of all, as far as what is crime, you know what I'm saying? If you want to put it on a microscope like that, crime could be anything.
But they're very specific crime statistics.
Crime is not determined by a government. Crime is determined by wrongdoing as far as somebody doing you wrong, and it don't take a government to figure that out.
I understand that, but they're the
okay. Then I don't have nothing to say after that.
Hold on, Nebjari. Let me ask you: are statistics real to you, and how do they matter?
Statistics are only real as far as like how relevant they are to me. Like, if you're going to tell me like 15% of the population of people that commit, if you're going to go into this, like, well, first of all, I probably don't even communicate with 15% of that population that commit that crime or do anything like that. First of all, I don't even focus on crime. How my culture goes is we expect the best out of everybody. And then the people who commit crime or people who commit wrongdoing is just that. And then we move forward. We're not focusing on that and keeping that as a part of our life to how we're going to move forward and not move forward secondly. Like, that's stupid. Like, we focus on positive things, and most people around the world, I hope they do, focus on the better things about their life. Focus on the better things about humanity. We don't build a civilization based on what is bad about humanity.
Yeah, I can't help but laugh. Like, that don't even make no sense. So, like,
I hope you do laugh at it because I hope you understand what prisons are, the prison industrial complex and things like that.
Sure do.
Like those things exist because you don't have culture in place to put those people in the so-called criminals in place where they need to be. So you have so it's easier for you to sit back and laugh and say, oh, there's a place to put those people, and there's people already in place to put those people where they need to be. That's why your state, if they don't put the certain people in place where they need to be, supposedly, whether they're actually criminals or not, the states get sued by the prisons. And
I live in statistically the safest state in the country and also the whitest state in the country. So I don't know.
The Caucasoids here
safe, and that's what I'm saying. I already know where this conversation is going. So,
but the whole reason that statistics got brought up,
to make words and not make any point at all, dude. That's pretty much what I figured out.
The point is to make is I already know where you guys coming from.
I already know where you coming from too. A place of intellectual inferiority.
I'm glad you know you come from inferiority. That's why you're white.
Let's do it. Look at what Europeans have done.
I ain't got the look, everybody. I don't got the mute button like I had on Zoom, so I can't just mute everybody out. But we can't just start going back and forth like that. We got to stay on.
You have to understand the nature of the cave beasts. This is just how they are. So you might have to
Hey, let's do it like this. Let's let everybody give their opinions and respect their. It's easier that way. You don't have to agree with their opinion, but respect it without giving any type of derogatory statement behind what they believe.
The
problem is, I may interject.
Yeah, we ain't there yet. We're gonna hold it here. Unfuckwittable. The statistics matter to you, and why do they matter?
They matter to a certain extent, like as far as what the source is. You know what I'm saying? I like to do my own research on certain statistics. But I kind of go based off what I see, which is not necessarily always a good thing because a lot of times what you see can be an illusion. Sometimes you can be lied to, you know what I'm saying? Just like certain statistics, like who is providing these statistics. And I understand, certain sources, whether it's coming from the government or coming from, but I mean, the government lies all the time. So how could I take their statistics as always being 100% accurate? I can't do that. But I mean, I can see statistics where I'm at, in my community, you know what I'm saying, where I'm going and where I'm at, you know what I mean?
Who's that talking? Who's that just said that?
It's unfuckwittable. AKA
okay, thank you. Hey, unfuckwittable. I don't know you, but thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, he's on point. Whoever that is, whoever he is on point.
But
I'm sorry about that. Continue. I'm sorry.
I want to keep it short and simple because I like to, let everybody get a turn. So that's just me though. That's my opinion on it when it comes to, statistics. Like I said, you can be lied to. They've always been lying. So it is what it is.
Young Fit.
As far as statistics, to me, yeah, I believe in them. When I'm actually the one giving the actual equation, if I'm not the one behind the equation or doing the problem and the solution, I really can't take anybody's word for it. That's something you have to do and get your own. You got to get your own theory going, your own hypothesis and things like that. Get your own conclusion, and definitely it's just a thing where you believe what you believe and you don't what you don't. Statistics. If statistics was all the way 100%, the Holocaust wouldn't have happened. A lot of stuff statistically they were saying people were taking over. Statistics could be used against certain people. You all know that it can be used against you. Statistically speaking, because who's to say all the crimes are committed by a certain group, or it's a higher statistic point
that's
that
like
certain groups commit certain things. So that's like super bogus because it makes no sense just to group somebody in a statistic and say these crimes and all these acts just based off that word, your word alone. It's written in stone. That's where it ends. So statistics can be a good thing, but it can be a good thing when it's based on group. You can't group somebody when it's based on other things besides people and individuals. It's different.
Hold on. Somebody got some noise.
It's KN. It looks like.
Yeah, you need to mute your mic, bro.
Can you mute your mic? Yeah, thanks.
Okay, so let me just summarize. So some statistics are just a small group that are misrepresented, i.e. blown out of proportion. Is that what y'all are saying? Yes, I agree. Some statistics are bad. But when it comes to the FBI statistics, you're dealing with a nation of 300 million people. So, big sample size, taking most of the data into account, you're going to have better statistics than, say, you would if you were looking at a small group.
And I don't think that statistics tell you everything about said, if they say, people with blonde hair, X statistic, that doesn't mean every person you meet with blonde hair is X, right? Or people with freaking, of African descent or people of European descent or whatever it may be, right? It's a
I agree with that.
Generalization over a population, right? That's not individuals.
Hey, the guy that's saying that, I actually agree with that, but that's not what you were saying yesterday.
Yeah, it was. Y'all didn't let me get to that because you got the whole point of the whole
point that I was making.
Hold on. Let him finish. We let you go next, BC. Brian.
I get that. And so like the whole conversation that was started, if you guys would remember, was that I was saying that based on FBI statistics, we can see that we have more interactions with police, right? So if you have more interactions with police, you're going to end up having more people in jail. You're going to end up having more people getting shot by the police statistically than you would in another given population. And I did also caveat that by saying I never said that was genetic or that was anything else. There's a million other causes that could be caused by, right? That could be due to that could be to poverty. That could be to all these other things. That's what the conversation was supposed to go to, but it kind of got blown out of proportion.
Oh yeah, I want to speak on that too. But go ahead.
Can I please say something?
Yeah, go ahead.
Brian.
The thing is, your show was called Africanism. Your show was being pre-recorded before me, the first person that popped in outside of Cali. When I popped in, your header says genetic whatever. It has a black baby and a white baby, and you're talking about you're talking about Africanism, but setting it with the premise of crime. That's disrespectful.
No, I did not. No, not even close. What are you even talking about?
Well, that's on your page. You might want to go check that because it says the title of the show on the link that I got.
Afrocentrism.
Right. What does Afrocentrism have to do with crime? That's
well, that wasn't that. No, that was the topics we were supposed to get to over the whole show. The premise was that was the question that was asked, but there was plenty of other topics that were supposed to be discussed within the show.
Just understand that those aren't related and that premise is false from the gate, that you're associating. Like you can't see that's like you can't associate Africanism with crime. They're not related. That's disrespectful.
Africanism, but yeah, I understand that. But I wasn't even associating it with crime. My caveat, which I opened up with, my premise that I opened with, is that police are not disproportionately affecting African Americans. That was my premise.
Have you ever been to jail?
Yeah.
Hold on. We're gonna get to that too. I got that question coming back up for us. Kaiser, I don't know if you got the fully answer. Does statistics matter to you, and why do they matter, or how do they matter?
I already answered that. I was the first one you asked, and I said
I thought I asked Rory.
Yeah.
Oh, which one? Who didn't answer? Was it Rory or Kaiser?
I didn't
both answer.
Yeah, I think we both hit on that one.
Didn't get the chance to answer.
Brian, yeah, go ahead.
Well, the thing is, statistics as a science, anything that has to do with collecting data is going to get you closer to an answer. But you can skew the answer based on your personal bias, and that's common sense. Anybody with intelligence knows that. Anybody who practices the scientific method, just like how scientists used to think that like they didn't understand certain things about heliocentrism or like we used to think that the earth was the center of the universe. Then we thought the sun was. Then we started figuring out later through collection of data that was false. But the initial data that we had led us to our premise that we thought was already true. Anybody who studies sciences knows the misconceptions of scientists prior, and they collected data and they came to a false conclusion, not because they were doing something wrong, but because they didn't have the correct data. You have to have the correct data, and just saying that I took this study in this area, that is because I've been in places where they'd be like, 9 out of every 10 people in this area has AIDS. And I'm like, well, that would mean that like out of 10 people that I know, that would mean that at least 50 to 70% of them would have to have AIDS if that is accurate. So if I only know one person that has AIDS out of 1,000 people, that statistic obviously looks false. Like it looks false. Like you can't just, a number doesn't change.
So let me get this straight. Just hear me out. All right. So you're using anecdotal evidence to quell statistical evidence?
Oh, no.
But that's what you just said.
No, what I'm explaining to you is, like I said before,
you're not explaining it very well, sir.
Okay, so it's not obvious to you that statistics can be skewed.
It's because you're not.
Hold on. Hey, let him finish. Let him finish what he's saying. Let him finish his point.
And the science. That's what I'm saying. I can't be civil with somebody to understand. Like if you don't realize that you can skew statistics, then I can't. You can't. You're primitive.
Obviously, statistics can't be skewed, but they can only be skewed to a degree.
Yeah, but that's plain simple. Once you know that they can be skewed, there's no reason for him to act like that. But he's acting like that because he thinks that he, like, you know, for some reason is the only person that can access accurate information. And that's like, come on now. Like our country already talked about Russia messing with our election through some old bullshit. It's obviously skewed information.
Obviously, that's skewed information because that's the media. That's not science.
Yeah, and the media, a lot of these
We got somebody else coming in. Joseph.
Hey, Joseph. Joseph. Mute your mic.
Mute your mic.
You got to echo.
It's because I'm Jewish?
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Echo for the Jew.
All right.
Well, statistically, I see a lot of more black people on Facebook fighting than I see white people, honestly.
Yeah. Well,
I think Facebook is.
I'm keeping it real. Hey,
my little part. Let me say my little part.
Get out of here with that.
Hold on. We can't hear none of y'all right now.
Nah, I'm keeping it real. Statistically, I see black people doing a lot of dumb shit on social media.
You probably got a lot more black people on your page than you have white people.
I was just about to say
World
Facebook. Yeah, I was gonna say
real,
Facebook
bruh.
creates echo chambers for sure.
Well, on
Social
a global
media in
scale,
general.
I don't see anybody as impactful when it comes to destruction as the European on planet Earth. Like on a grand scale, you could talk about small communities, but as a global scale, there's a reason why other countries have a problem dealing with the European.
There's a reason why they're as productive as they are today and as industrious as they are today. It's because they were colonized.
Destructive. Actually, they're counterproductive.
No.
Humanity is going backwards because of money and because of capitalism. Society isn't moving forward. Like America, our poverty is higher than third world countries. And we're supposed to be
only place in the world where we got fat poor people. Come on now.
Right.
Come on.
Okay, look, I want to say this real quick though about the whole statistic thing, right? So let's say you come up with some statistics and it says, okay, so you have this certain amount of race of people in jail compared to,
how you guys doing?
Other people that's not in jail, right? Well, when you have a system in place that's set up to specifically put a certain race of people in jail over other people, well, then those statistics, of course, are going to me. That's skewed because the system is set up to put more of a certain percentage of people.
That's simply not true. That's not true.
What's not true? That it's a system in place.
It's false.
Hey, hold on. Joseph, introduce yourself first before you.
Hey, it's me, Joseph Ozia from OZ Media, and I came in to chat with you guys and talk about what we talk about. We're talking about crime and race.
Right
and stuff.
now, the question is, are statistics real, and how do they matter?
That's not.
Well, of course, this is still real, but saying false statistics is not real stats. Because you're saying that. So yeah, sad, I guess. What are you saying that? I guess what you're saying is that the system is set up to incriminate black and brown people, but that's not true because black people commit 50% of all violent crimes in America. If you actually look up the of incrimination and crime, it's pretty much the same thing.
I get that part. I get that part.
And not crime, violent crime. Like not like smoking weed or smoking a doobie, violent crime. We commit 50% of violent crime.
So are you trying to tell me there's not a high number of black men who have been basically wrongfully jailed for crimes that they didn't commit? Also, to compound that with the amount of racist cops and not just white, black, white, I don't care what color cop it is, there's a certain amount of cops out there that specifically will put a certain race in jail before they put another race in. So y'all telling me that's not true?
But
that's not true.
Let me. You just said that, but how come then cops shoot more white people than black people?
Mm-hmm.
And they're more. Well, let me finish. And it's more likely they shoot white people. It's more likely.
Statistically, even per capita.
Bro, was you gonna get out? Bruh?
Are we talking about stats, or are we talking about stats, or do you just want to throw the insults? That's my question. Because I'm bringing you the truth right now, and you throwing insults. So I'm trying to ask you: do you want to talk about the truth, or do you just want to throw insults, my brother? Now I'm giving you stats backed by the FBI. Now my question is:
backed by multiple locations, not just the FBI.
You know how the FBI was
okay. Let's keep it real. Hold on. Let's keep it real.
All right,
for instance, I've seen on numerous occasions a white guy with a knife A white guy with a knife in front of the cops. Cops don't shoot him. Put the knife down.
Numerous locations.
I've seen the same thing with black people.
I see the same thing with black people.
Yes. I seen a cop body. I saw a black dude body slam a cop on his head and crack his fucking head open the other day. Did he shoot his ass? Did he even?
I seen some white people fuck over a whole continent, and the black people still ain't tried to kill him for it.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Hey, you can't blame the winners.
If you go far back in history, everybody conquered everybody. Everybody was in slavery.
Guess what? Slavery wasn't invented by Europeans, but America ended that shit. So.
You're right, but what I'm saying is the thing about it is yesterday when I came with my contention that blacks were more empathetic, by definition we are, because we're not doing what you're doing. We're not responding to you.
They're still enslaving people in Africa right now.
That's true.
Well, I need to go get me some slaves.
You know what I'm saying? So I don't say that one race is more empathetic than the other across the board. I think that's a ridiculous statement to even make.
Institutionalized it here in the country.
I think
they've changed they've modernized.
It's institutionalized in Africa. It's still going on right now.
Yeah, like you got to realize that after, it's like you want to ignore. It's like it doesn't do any good to point one thing. Like I can. Yeah, I agree that there's other things that are going on the planet, but that does not deny.
That's what you're doing. You're sitting over here pointing over here. Well, Europeans did this across the globe 300 years ago.
Yo.
Moderate this, please.
Come on. Yeah, we're going into the rant. All right, so the next question, and try to keep y'all cool. I know this is a tough question, and I don't want everybody jumping in and trying to cut people off. So let them finish their point. If you don't agree, and you can speak on it when your term come up. So I'm gonna start off with unfuckwittable on this one. Are blacks targeted by police?
No.
I'm sorry. I didn't know your name was unfuckwittable, bruh. I didn't know your name was unfuckwittable, but let me go ahead and answer this question real quick. I don't think that all police. First of all, let me say this: I don't think all police are crooked. I don't think all police are bad. I don't think all white police bad, whatever the case may be. But I believe that there are obviously some racist cops out there that specifically, yes, will, are quicker to put black people in jail compared to white people. And this I've seen with my own eyes. I don't need statistical data to go on and look or do research on a paper. I'm talking about seeing stuff with my own eyes. This is not an illusion. This is actually happening right in front of my face. I can see it. I can smell it. I can hear it. I can feel it. Okay. Talk about using.
I don't think anybody disagrees it happens, right?
Okay.
Nobody.
So, well, thank you. But I guess that's the answer to my question. But yes, there are some out there that specifically finish. Please.
Hold up.
Don't interrupt anybody else. So let me finish mine.
Sure.
Thank you. So, I guess I'm finished now.
But I think I got a great caveat to that, like a little follow-up. So if there are racist white cops against black people, right? As you've said, you've seen with your own eyes, and I don't think anybody disagrees that does happen, right? But it's what proportion, okay? But wouldn't you believe that there would be just as many black cops who are racist against white people?
There's racist black cops against black cops.
The question is, are blacks targeted? The question is, are blacks targeted by cops?
Oh, okay. We're talking about.
What's the question on, Kali?
Go ahead. You can answer, Fit.
Okay. I believe we are targeted by the police as far as just profiling. Definitely just getting behind our cars. Say if I'm in a nice car, I'm black. How you get the car? What are you doing? What do you do for a living? Why can't I just travel the country freely? Yeah, we're targeted. Anybody else driving through Beverly Hills in a Bentley and they're white, they're not going to get harassed. Let me pull up in a Bentley in Beverly Hills, being a black young man. I'm being pulled out the car, searched for weapons, all the above.
So can I talk now? Can I jump in? My other 2 cents. This is cool, everybody. So you say you believe that blacks are being targeted by police. Like I said, and it's in this right here is belief, right?
I know we are.
No, you say belief. A belief and I know it's two different
things. Because that was a question. He said, hold on. He said, do I believe? That was a question.
So, do you want to hear the stats?
That's because I know.
What's the stats? Do you know blacks versus cops versus cops versus black?
But he's asking an opinion. He's not asking for statistical data. He's asking an opinion. He's not asking me to give the stats. He didn't say, what are the stats of the black people being harassed by the police? He's asking me for a personal opinion.
All right. Did he not? If you want to leave it at that,
me a personal opinion.
If you want to leave it at that, I'm gonna leave it right there, my brother.
All right. We
was
can't
the
hear
question
y'all.
based off a personal opinion or not?
All right, I'm just asking, do you want to hear the stats or not? So
I told you no, I didn't want to hear it.
I want to hear them.
We know better. We already know better.
All right.
Well, let's ask you, since you jumping in. You said that no, blacks are not targeted. Yosef?
Yep. You are statistically more likely to be shot by the cops, by a black person, than by the cops. I have a 20 times chance of being shot by a black person than being shot by a white person.
But that wasn't the question.
Let me finish. I'll let you talk. And he asked me a question. I want to make my case. So, versus cops shooting black versus black shooting cops. A cop being shot by a black person is 16. A cop being shot by a black person is 16 more likely than a black person being shot by the cops. There's more likely a cop getting shot by somebody from our skin color than somebody with a blue vest on shooting one of us. Now, those are the stats.
But he didn't ask that question. He didn't ask nothing about shooting.
It doesn't matter what I believe. I can believe in the flying spaghetti outside. It doesn't make it real. I'm a person. Let me talk.
Hey, don't cut him off. Come on. Let's just keep it clean, y'all. Keep it clean.
I just want the question to be answered.
I'm answering the question, but you want to
said no.
I'm saying no. Right. Then I'm laying my argument out.
So, Rory, are blacks targeted by cops?
Not more than is proportional to the criminal level, no. Actually, it's less.
Kaiser?
I'm with Rory on that. You're not targeted more proportionally than in relation to the criminality.
Black people weren't hung either.
Hold
on.
White people been hung.
Brian, are blacks targeted by police?
Oh, you said me?
Yeah.
Well, the police, put it this way. I believe that as a whole, it's hard to answer that, but I do know that we know about the Rampart Division. We know about that. We know about the Compton Police Department. They actually got caught by the feds, the same organization who he's getting those stats from. They were caught and their whole
FBI.
Hold on. Please, come on now. Don't this is and go look it up. Don't agree with me. Go research. Go research the Rampart Division. Go research what the government or what the feds had to do to shut them down and reestablish that whole police station because of the biasness, because of the people that were getting killed. Police are just like gangbangers. So the reason why, whether you're black or white, as a police, you can't speak out on the truth because you're kind of you look like you're not gonna no good upstanding cop is gonna speak up and say, hey, you guys didn't have to hit him. He was trying to comply. Stop doing that. You never see that. Why? Because as an organization, it's a conflict of interest for them to share for them to feel apologetic about their course of action. So that's automatically a bias. That's like common sense that type of organization is biased, whether it's against whites or black. It's biased against the society. Now, are blacks targeted? Well, watch this. If all you see and hear about is that type of stuff, if you ask me that and I live in a certain community, I do believe that certain blacks have the ability to make themselves stand out like a sore thumb, and it puts in ignorant white people's hearts because all they believe is what they see on TV. And so they act on it and they might not be racist. Some of them might not be racist, but we can't ignore the actual racism and the misproportionate, or like what old boy said about the fact that, if you're being profiled more, then your stats mean bullshit. Your stats don't mean shit.
Wait. Like I said earlier, if I have a 20-time chance of being shot, being around black person, you don't think that will going to affect my everyday decision? Do I want to hang out with black people? Or if let me finish. I'm making my case. If I have a 16 times this chance of being shot by a black person versus me shooting that black person, or if I do shoot this black person, then I'm gonna be torn up by the media. You don't think that I'm going to have a bias back in my head that I'm going to go in the neighborhood, I have a high chance of getting shot?
How did the question get back on him, though?
Yeah, he coming in and just interrupting other people's conversation.
Like, we heard what you said.
Push that agenda because he can't, like, his argument won't be supported. It'll be defeated if he lets go of that, and that's garbage.
I'm not gonna make an argument. I'm
just saying, but
I'm quoting stats.
You answered your question. We heard what you said. You're scared to hang with black people, so you.
I'm not saying that.
So you choose to be in the house.
No.
You trying to massa. We understand that.
Choosing the house. Choosing what? Choosing the house. You know what I do? You know what I do?
Yo. Okay. No. My show, bro. Hey, hold on. This is my show, and we're not doing that. We're not doing all that shit that happened last time. That shit. We need to be able to talk to each other. I don't care if somebody has something to say. We need to be able to talk to each other.
I'm not gonna get called a coon and just keep on going. Because you know what I do? You know what I do in Atlanta? I work with black businesses. I would get black business. You know how many black businesses that I have operate and got out of debt in Atlanta? I have did this 4 times to 4 black businesses. You know what I do, bro? Since we calling out me and say I'm not gonna hang out with black people. You know what I do? I show black people how to get out of debt, and how to get the business in order, and how to make sure.
Were you shot by any of those black people?
You know why? Because these are black people who are not gangbangers. Who don't.
Because all black people don't shoot people.
No shit, Sherlock. But
you just contradicted your whole statement.
Yo,
no, he's not.
I'm not. You're getting emotional because you're getting emotional, bro. You're getting emotional, bro. Let me finish what I'm saying. Because you're calling me a coon. I'm telling you, I have literally raised millions of dollars in the black community to help black people out. And you're calling
Yo. That's enough, man. Come on with all that.
But he said I'm more likely to get shot by a black person. So should I hang with black people?
I'm making a case that you say that institutional bias. I'm saying, do you think in your mind, because there is a statistical chance of being shot by a black person as a cop, like go to the hood after making a call, they might have it back in their head that it's a chance that they might get shot because cops, they want to go home to see their family. So I'm making an argument is, do you think that it's institutional racism, or is it they notice that, hey, my homie got shot by a black person, and it's a good chance that this might happen to me because of this neighborhood and this culture right here in this particular neighborhood. So do you think is maybe it's a chance versus having a chip on your shoulder?
Maybe you should police your own neighborhood and you won't get shot.
Hey, I agree with that. Nobody disagrees with that, but it ain't happening.
Listen, I was gonna say that, Fit. This is a law that would change everything. This would eliminate a lot of racism. It wouldn't eliminate all of it, but if you could only be a police officer in the area code where you live, you know how
motherfuckers could target you and come kill your family? No, thank you.
That wouldn't happen.
Hold on.
It does happen.
Finish what he's saying. Hold on.
It does happen.
Let him finish his point.
All right.
I gotta know how stupid that response was. Listen, let's say I live in a white neighborhood, I'm a police, I'm a black guy. If I do something that these white people don't like, it's gonna fuck my life over, and I live with them, so I'm gonna make sure I do everything fair and righteous. That's the same thing with white people. If you live in your neighborhood and you know your neighbors, you're not afraid of them because you live with them. So you don't have a reason to try to police them any extra. But because you got police coming from fucking Cornville, Kentucky, policing people from an inner city, they have no reason to have empathy, and they don't know these people, and they treat them accordingly. So if you live in your own area code, you don't have to worry about blacks coming in your neighborhood because your fellow white police would only police their neighborhoods, and you would leave black people alone and they police their neighborhoods. And you couldn't parasitically be a symbiote on our culture by making a fucking profit off of a business that focuses in on a certain culture, and that's common sense. The prison to pipeline system explains everything. Go read that.
I agree and disagree with that statement. I agree that I agree in a lot of populations it is a lot more functional to have your police be part of the population. I agree with that. I think that, we should go back to where the cops are, your local cop is known because, hey, he's part of your community. I agree with that wholeheartedly, right? But there's certain areas where the criminality is.
Sorry.
Hold on. Let him finish, Brian.
My bad.
There's certain areas where the criminality is so high, and it's run by pretty much cartels, gangs, whatever you want to call them, these massive operations of criminal activity. It's the same thing like down in Mexico, things like that, where like they will literally target you and come and fucking target your family where you're unsafe. You can't live in that neighborhood, though. You can't live in that area because it's too unsafe to live there. You pull up in front of your house, you take your cruiser home for the night because you got an early morning shift, and
don't live there. Don't live. Go somewhere where white
then
people
you have no police. You have no police in that area.
But we're talking about. But you're talking about like Bill Gates that has $75 billion. An individual. You're talking about gang members that have no kind of power like that. Like, think about who's the real cartel behind the scenes. Think about that one.
What? I'm so confused. Why do Bill Gates having $7 million or $7 billion?
I'm just saying, the people that you're talking about little street gangs. You're not even talking about people that. No, listen. Let me get to my point. You're not talking about people that are building biological weapons that you don't even know what's going on. Shit that viruses they're sending out, killing whole communities overseas. You're talking about some little gang shit. That shit is nothing compared to these rich ass people that's really doing silent weapons against the whole world. And now
how is that even relevant to the conversation?
You're so scared of a gang and motherfucker drop a fucking drop a biological.
Until that happened, I don't care. That's
already happened.
It's not where. I need stats. I need dates. I need names.
AIDS is running around. How did you think AIDS got out here? You think it just came from monkeys for real?
Yeah. Oh my god.
So
come on,
AIDS,
think about
AIDS is not even a disease that is irrelevant right now. Like,
yeah. Okay.
It's not unless you're a gay hooker hooking up, having sex without a condom.
Right here, AIDS that is speaking. Man, you need to go do your research, man. You're the
type of person that
you're talking about AIDS is not irrelevant. You're talking like you're the type of person that say cancer is not irrelevant. People aren't dying from cancer.
AIDS is not irrelevant. It's not. It's so irrelevant right now.
All right, bro.
Wow, that's crazy.
That's the crazy thing. He's exiled from the conversation off that.
Look, how many people are dying from AIDS?
A lot. There's whole countries that are affected.
A lot.
Yeah, whole countries where they're incapable of having Western medicine to deal with it.
Countries that they're affected because
medicine is killing people, bro.
Well, my question is, how do you catch? Hold on. How do you catch AIDS?
Were affected by these billionaires.
How do you catch AIDS? How do you catch AIDS?
You don't think these countries were
affected by AIDS?
All right.
How do you catch AIDS?
How does that come into a conversation of community policing? You see how we were having a normal civil conversation and trying to go.
Because you're trying to say you guys are so in fear of. You're saying the police should be scared of the cartel.
They are scared of the
because they get fucking murdered and fucking beheaded and their families get killed. Look, yeah, they should be afraid of that.
So who haven't got to answer are blacks targeted by police, so we can move on to the next question. Has everybody answered that?
Let's just move on because this is quickly devolving. Let's get our next question, please.
All right. Next question. What is chimping out? We'll start with who said that on the last show? Was it Rory or Kaiser?
Oh, I said that on the last show. I think chimping out is, you see within ape communities, obviously we're still apes. Within ape communities, you see whenever one group of apes goes and attacks another, they go into a violent rage, and it's an uncontrollable rage, and things get brutally murdered and destroyed, and there's just no care and want for anything other than the destruction of the enemy. That's
I don't associate myself with an ape,
but we are apes.
Yeah, not me. I'm not an ape.
No, not me.
I don't believe in the Darwin theory.
Oh,
it's not the Darwin theory. Darwin. Okay, so evolution is a scientific fact. Darwin.
Wow.
Evolution.
Hold on. Darwin put forward Hold on. Darwinism is not a thing. Hold on. Let me finish my sentence and then you can respond. Darwin put forward the mechanism by which evolution happened. So he put forward the theory of natural selection, evolution by natural selection. Evolution is a very understood, the most understood science. Evolution is a fact.
Excuse me, sir. Evolution, I need you to go look this up because you're not going to believe me because I'm black. Go look up, ask if Darwinism and evolution are the same thing. Evolution exists in all different levels, but Darwinism is specifically saying that man came from apes that eventually went to right.
That's not true. That's not true.
Darwin put forward we shared a common ancestor that split about 3.5 million years ago. Yeah, we shared a common ancestor with chimpanzees about 3.5 million years ago. Since then, it's been...
Listen, having a common ancestor and coming from are two different things. Go look that up.
That's why I said having a common ancestor, because that's what it is. That's not... We're going to come from apes.
No, you have a common ancestor with fish. You have a common ancestor with everything else.
Technically, yeah. Our ultimate common ancestor would probably be cyanobacteria. I mean, that was the first organism on the planet, right? So that would be
once RNA. Sweet. I think it's who's it fit? Somebody's like opening a bag of chips or something on their line. It's killing me.
Sorry about that. Sorry.
So evolution, RNA, when RNA started to replicate and then, started forming strings of DNA, and then every living organism on the planet comes from that. Yes.
Right, but no ape ever turned to a human.
We are
go around in a circle instead of everybody speaking randomly. Like, this shit is just nobody else is getting a chance to talk, and I don't want to cut nobody else.
Go ahead. What you got to say about it?
Well, for me personally, like, I can't disagree with what anybody else is saying. I know I don't come from an ape, regardless of you guys' scientific statistical facts. I'm a very spiritual person, so there's no way that I can agree that I came from ape.
But you are an ape still. That's the difference. Is like
you can call me whatever you want, but what's true to you is not true to me. That's your truth. That is not my truth. Okay.
Well, ape is a descriptor. Ape is a descriptor of a specific type of mammal, and humans fit into that descriptor. We are apes still.
That, but like I said earlier at the beginning of the show, you can't label.
That was a racist term, man.
You can call me whatever you want, but I'm not going to be labeled as that. I label myself as a god. I'm much more than what you believe or your Darwinism theory or your evolution theory, whatever that is. I'm so much more than that. So that's my piece. You can disagree with me if you want to. I really don't care because that's your belief and you're entitled to your own opinion. All right. So
that's cool. And that's fine. I understand religious belief. I understand, spiritual belief, if you want to call it whatever you want to,
I don't fuck religion. I don't fuck with religion, me personally.
Yeah, and I get that too. But like I said, it's a descriptor of specific types of animals. Like, it doesn't necessarily mean anything. I always find it fascinating when people who are, religious or spiritual or whatever, they say, hey, we came from God. Well, if you believe in God, you know that everything on the planet came from God. So everything is of God. So what's the difference?
All right. Before we go too far off,
Holly, if I may just real quick interject. Humans are classified as hominidae, right? And that is a specific that's a specific family in taxonomy. It includes the genre Pongo, which is your Bornean, Sumatran, and Sumatran orangutans, gorilla, which is your gorillas, pan, which is your chimpanzees, and then Homo, which includes modern humans and Neanderthals and Homo erectus.
There's Homo erectus and there's Homo.
Homo denisovans.
Like Homo, that's not.
Somebody's phone is clicking. Is that you, Fit?
The same human.
Fit. I think your phone is clicking.
It's not clicking.
Oh. All right, maybe that was Brian. What was you saying, Brian?
He said he might be homosexual.
I think his phone is going out.
Like milk homogenous. White milk is homogenous. I'm just kidding.
All right, come on, that's not
all right.
racist.
So young, all right, Brian. Brian, what is chimping out?
You know what? That was my first time hearing that term, and I mean, I'll just take his word for it, like what he means. But it sounds, but like you, I mean, like he made it sound elegant, like it has no innuendo. But when you direct it in a certain way, it's almost like you're trying to
use it with white people when I said it. Whenever I said it last show, it was 100% towards white people. It had nothing to do with freaking African Americans, Africans in any way. I was talking about white people chimping out. So,
but you made a statement saying you don't want black people to victimize white people like the Jews were chimping out. Really
no, I said no. Now, hold on. Let me rephrase my specific statement. I said that because it was based on the comments of someone else in the chat that they didn't want to work out race relations, that there was no there was no point in it, it didn't exist, and I said that's how you get white supremacists. That's how you get alt-right. That's how you get these white-centric, Eurocentric organizations that are just like, hey, well, fuck everybody else then. If they don't want to work with us, we're not going to work with them. And I said, you don't want white people to chimp out, because when white people chimp out, people get fucked up. The Jews found out about that in Germany. Exactly.
If that was you guys can get fucked up if we ape out. It doesn't. It's like, I mean, come on now.
No, 100%. No, I didn't. I never said anything to the contrary.
Young Fit, what's chimping out?
Chimping out is a racist ass term. I'm not I'm never chimping out. I'm wilding out. That means I'm grabbing something, whatever the case may be, and it's going haywire. But I'm not chimping out ever, because I'm not in the ape family. It's definitely sounds like a racist term to use towards anything, even to bring up the Jews and the Holocaust. It was a fucked up situation. It was a messed up term to use. Nobody wants to be genocide or, their whole like livelihood taken apart. Then y'all went at the Indian super sideways. Like, come on, man. Y'all got to have some kind of structure. Like, it's just grimy. It's a lot of janky stuff people done to other races, and it's nothing to be proud of. Like, that's nothing to be proud of.
Do you guys want to think?
Hold on.
Joseph, you got
it next. Joseph, you got it next. Young Fit, was you done, or was there some more you wanted to say?
Yeah, I was done. I heard what he said on the other show, and it was like something that, like, yeah, you don't want us to do that. Like, nobody wants a school shooting. Nah, nobody wants that. Nobody wants people to die. Like, honestly, all the violence is unnecessary any way it goes, and it's just, it doesn't help the world. Period. Anybody wilding out.
I agree with that.
All right, go ahead, Joseph.
It sounds like a term is only racist in terms of context. If you say, oh, look at those white people chipping out, then yeah, it's going to seem like a racist term. But if you say you don't want white people chipping out, then no, it's not racist. It sounds like you guys are just looking to a point to be outraged, to be honest. Because he's saying,
I have a minor in biology, so for me, like, chimping out makes sense because we are apes. So that's how the term was used.
No, Rory, is that correct? You use the context of this term is on white people.
No, exactly. I wasn't. The content of it wasn't like the word chimping out. I just got offended when he said we didn't know what happened with the Jews. Like, that was kind of cold,
Well, it was
no.
It was brought up in the beginning of the show by someone else. They're the ones that JQ posted about the Jews, so it just kind of came together.
So, like I said, it sounded like Rory made it in the full context. Rory is talking about white people chimping out, and to be honest, what you just said, you got offended. Yes.
No, I didn't get offended by chimping out. I just got offended at how you use it in the context of
white people. With the Jews. So are you offended on white people? On behalf of the whites?
I love white people.
So you're offended on behalf of the whites?
No, I'm offended on behalf of the Jewish people.
But in the context, it was white people. Well, I don't know where Jews come in.
When they destroyed the German economy, they got what was coming to them, personally.
God damn it, Rory.
We love you, Joseph.
Yeah, I love you guys too.